Okay, welcome to Pass the Mic, episode 36 for Friday, August 5th. We are now into August. The end is near. The back to school supply aisles are fully out. Everything is good to go. We are recording here on election day, primary day. So hopefully everyone by the time they watch this got out and voted. My co-host, Mike Gervasi, welcome. Short line.
Put my name Breed on everything I own, and when I get my Jeep, I'm putting Breed on the chrome. You know who that is?
Don't know.
Man, Flint's own. He's from FLINT, and Flint's own MC Breed. Ain't no future in your front.
Well, there you go. See, I learned something. Don't know that one. I don't just play dumb. I don't play dumb every week. I'm honestly.
Man, what were you listening? Like, were you listening to Color Me Bad or something at the time?
No, Color Me Bad. I listen, man. The 90s on 9, the typical old 90s, pop and that sort of thing. But again, I'm learning. Everything that is old is now new again. I just was looking online this morning, and all these TikTok songs and songs that are on Netflix shows they're like current hits.
Oh, I know.
I mean, making tons of money for these people.
My youngest daughter was doing something on TikTok yesterday, and a song by again, I'm sure you've never heard of BDP, maybe KRS-One. She was listening to a song by him. Man, God, you are. I don't know what you
listen. Speaking of that, so I opened up an account. A TikTok account, and debating if we should get Nate's like, you should do a Pass the Mic corporate account, like commercial account. So that might be something we have to look into.
I don't even know what it means, but it sounds good.
Yeah, wait, who knows? We'll have to ask the listeners about that. Speaking of that, any feedback from last week on anything?
Got a lot.
Oh, you got a file there.
Yeah, I do. I got a email. One guy, my main man Bob from Chicago, took some shots about Naughty by Nature. I'm not so sure why. I think maybe the song I chose, I don't know, like
because he didn't use OPP.
Yeah, and if you look deeper into them, they are much deeper than the pop songs that came out. Very very profound songs. Erin Torres, our colleague, her movie that, like, my obscure thing, her movie was Drop Dead Fred, that she gets together with some friends and they watch. That's their movie. Max Bailey, of course, had to correct us. It's me, sorry. And in fact, I wore this today, so there's no misinformation. I also wore it for his correction. Rally House. We missed the house.
The name of the store. Yes, we want to make sure, even though we're not sponsored by anybody. I don't know.
But whose house? It's Rally.
We're not sponsored by anybody yet, Mr. Rice. But
and then my good friend Deontay from Arizona said that maybe the notion of parties is he wouldn't even say overrated, but he said college parties in no way, shape, or form are overrated. He made that point.
I don't think it's necessarily the parties themselves. I think it's like the aura around them that everyone thinks that. Yes, exactly. It's like I said, like when, walking around on a campus on a Saturday, I mean, it's a great time, and like a Halloween, that's how really, when you think about it, Halloween parties were always a thing back when we were in college, right? Like that was the one, and it sort of has spread to the general society, like, right? Like back in the night, I don't remember a ton of parent Halloween parties when we were kids, right?
Right.
Like, and I think now all of us that went through that in the 90s and the early 2000s that did this on college campuses are like, why do we have to stop this? We're going to keep doing it.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing that our who says that our generation isn't doing anything since all the boomers are still in politics and doing we're impacting daily life on
our
the
claim
real
to
way.
fame, Generation X.
I do want to mention Nick Rosen must have listened. Someone must have. Yes. I think Evie may have turned in. He gave us a little shout out. He shouted out on my personal page where I shared the thing about doing stuff alone. And
welcome Nick.
Welcome Nick. Yeah, welcome back every week. I did hear about some other obscure movies. Some songs too. And then I started thinking about like movies too that I probably am the only one that watches. But it was a great go-to topic, definitely. So we love the feedback as always. We love new listeners coming in, and we hope we don't mind when we drop your name here or there on something as well. And Nick obviously didn't mind, so he didn't mind golfing alone. So it was also the Ren Dog thanked me for my correction. Yes. And also the Ren Dog, did you see he was quoted in a New York Post article? His tweet was quoted.
I did not see
this is why I apologize to him, because the power he holds on Twitter. He was the Ren Dog does complain a little bit on Twitter about certain things, and he's a big Jeopardy guy, right? He's a big, and he does not like the split hosts that Jeopardy is now going
No,
with,
see, I haven't
right?
been on. Oh, really? So
So
that's
he tweeted his anger and disgust about that. I think he's in the Ken Jennings corner.
okay.
I personally have no horse in the race, I guess. And
Blossom's
he,
great. She's wonderful too.
well, be careful, because the Ren Dog
I
tweeted
know.
out, and the New York Post wrote an article about how this announcement caused feud in Twitter fans, and they linked right to his tweet. They
Wow.
didn't give him credit in the article. Like sometimes when people tweet and quote you in Twitter, they'll put your screen name in or whatever, but they put the link live right in there, and the Ren Dog was mentioned in the New York Post.
Look at the Ren Dog, man. That guy.
So we
he's
need to
got
keep
a lot
him
of
as
famous.
Twitter. Yeah, he's
Yes.
blocked by numerous and feuds with numerous people. I think he said I think Ice-T has quoted one of his tweets before. So
really, we
got to tread lightly and make sure that he stays a friend of the show and not a foe of the show. So
Ice-T is lemonade. Okay.
Yeah. So this week we are going to talk about our goals for the upcoming school year. What we hope, first of all, thanks to state law, right? We have to be evaluated every year, and part of that evaluation is establishing a goal. So this is something we literally have to do. But even before the legislature, I know this is hard for many in Lansing to understand. We didn't just show up every day on the first day of school in September and be like, all right, what's going on this year?
Yeah.
How many more days till Christmas break?
Yes,
that's not the way it works, Lansing, for most of us, I'd have to say, in our profession. We had goals that even, whether we're year 1 or year 31, we would set goals, and we would try. We wouldn't, again, to dispel another myth, we wouldn't do the same lesson we did 10 years ago, right? We change things, we try new things, some things work, some fail. So, but by law, we have to have a specific goal that's in our evaluation, but we also just have what are some personal work-related goals that we hope to have accomplished this year. It's always this time of year where you feel, by now, if you're not refreshed, you better get refreshed, because we're back in a few weeks. So what are some goals you have? If you want to give your specific goal that you have thinking, or maybe something you're throwing out, if you've already, you had to put yours in, right? Or no, we don't have to. You had to put yours in. I'm on a different evaluation plan. Mine can wait till September, I guess. But what if you want to give your specific one, you can, or if you want to just say some other ones you have in general, I'm sure I'd love to hear it. I'm sure others would love to hear it. So
yeah, I'm going to go two things. The first is more specific, in this one, I hope the listening audience doesn't fall asleep, but this was my specific goal. We are in a day and age where facts are starting to not matter. Providing evidence is starting to not matter. So my goal is, and you would find this out as a teacher, I'm sure every teacher that listens will agree to this, you have X amount of content to get through. And one of the things that, I really appreciate about past and current administrators is they always say, listen, you're not in a race, so, but you always feel that way as a teacher. You always feel like you want to get through as much as possible. So my goal in general is to provide for students to provide primary source evidence to back up any said position. Now, the evidence has to be from reliable sources. That's where you kind of come in. I bring my classes in.
That's my area of expertise.
Yes. And so that's my goal. That's the goal. And it sounds obvious, but when you are looking at a given lesson, you can make the students provide the evidence, or you can move on to the next thing, and as a department, we discuss this stuff all the time. We're trying to get through as much information as possible, at the same time ask them to think deeper, so to speak. So that's my goal, is for them to provide factual, credible evidence on basic claims, and hopefully bringing colleagues like you in the mix makes it a lot easier, but that's the goal. What I'm looking forward to, it's funny, I was just thinking about this, is, Mike, I used to not like teaching economics. It's just, as a general rule, kids are too young to really appreciate or understand the complexities. And, I got my minor in history, and, in the major, and my master's in history. And when, as a social studies person, you're given options of other social studies type classes in college to take, and I always avoided the economics ones. But it's starting to become more enjoyable. And what I was just thinking about today, applying these things to real life. For example, one of the first lessons I do is on economic concepts, the factors of production. and I bring in the show Shark Tank. And so now they're applying, a lot of the students watch the show, now they're applying a real life setting. So it's applying real life scenarios to what they're learning. It's not always easy, it's not always possible even, but in a scenario like that, it's fun. And we enjoy, all the students enjoy watching Shark Tank. I'm like, okay, so here's what we watched, now let's apply it to what we learned. It's a fun thing to do as a teacher. That's what I'm most looking forward to. So even in an economics class.
I think now more so than ever, the young people, high school age kids even, when we were in school, right, we'd have like, we were in school and then we got to a certain age and we're like, oh, I'll go get this minimum wage job, or I'll cut yards, or I'll babysit. I mean, that was it. No one ever thought of buying a stock or investing in anything, right? Like, or becoming an influencer, or starting our own, YouTube channel, or even like your own jewelry or your own clothing line or stuff like that. We just didn't have the resources for that. That was something that was well beyond anything we could accomplish. We were working at McDonald's. We were working at Frank's Nursery and Craft. That's the way it was. Maybe you could maybe you had a little side hustle and you cut grass on the side or something. Right?
Yeah,
but there was
something, right.
Now kids see this. Kids their own age are making tons of money, and they're like, "Hey, I want to learn more about this. I want to do this." You can, you can buy shares of stock without having to go into a brokerage firm. You can buy it on your phone. You can invest in various ways, and I think that's part of it too. It's a lot more exciting of a topic or a subject now than it was even like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's kids that, and this is beyond the normal education blast of I don't know what credit was, or this is beyond that. This is like stuff they actually want to learn,
right?
That is interesting to them now, right? Like,
no, I mean, and you mentioned earlier, like some of the old things that have become popular now. There was a Fleetwood Mac song. I can hear it in my head. That became, a guy was riding in the back of a car with like an orange juice bottle, or cranberry juice. Let me get that straight. And it became TikTok famous, and the song like reemerged and became very popular with younger generation. So those type of things happen. And Mr. Menser and I have brought that. He's the one that kind of found it, because I'm not on TikTok, and it's pretty cool. And the kids see that and they're like, oh wow! And applying that in this classroom, it makes it that much more interesting for them.
Yep, well, definitely. Those are some great goals. As I mentioned in earlier episodes, my goals tend to revolve around wanting to bring in more people into using the library on a daily basis. We had a great remodel done a few years ago with the bond issue. Last year, I extended the hours a little bit on my own, and then I added some supply carts, which was a big thing. We always have, whenever you bring in a group with a project or whatever's going on, or even kids throughout the day, I need a pencil, I need this or that. So now we have these 2 supply carts that are available with their things used in the library. And then even if, like I said, I have a whole ton of pencils, paper, kid needs something, they gone is the day and age of leave your shoe. And I'll give you a pencil, right? Like we try to give the kids these things. COVID actually, this was long before. I was never, I know you were never one of those teachers too, like that would die on a hill of not having a supply. Like there's bigger fish to fry. So this year I sort of want to continue on with that, and sort of how can I make the library more marketable? Of course, Mr. Morrow put in our podcasting studio, which we opened up to his classes and that. I'm looking into adding, and I see a lot of other libraries do this, and public libraries do it too, is I'm going to start looking at resources of adding sort of like a board gaming / puzzle gaming area with some various board games. We had it at a little bit before the remodel, but some chess boards, some old school board games. I'm thinking puzzles, that sort of thing. Just something that, one of those kids have downtime or whatever before or after school, if they're on online class and get some downtime, just an area that kids are able to use and do stuff. And again, just more options for our students to use in the area, make it a more welcoming place. And again, that's always been my goal every year. It was hard pre-bond issue because it was much older building, the furniture, just wasn't an inviting space. And now that it's an inviting space, and we do get a lot more foot traffic, and it's amazing what foot traffic can do. And that will lead into saying, oh, there's a new book up here, there's this or that. That's my number one goal. I always, when I was in high school, and even when I first started teaching, and this is not to knock anybody, or even like when I was in college, a lot of times libraries weren't welcoming places. All right.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. It was sort of like, you got to be quiet in here, get what you want, and get lost. And, it's like any other customer service industry. And I retweeted, CBS News just did a story on, they reopened a new library. It might've been down in Texas or somewhere. And all of the things they offer to their community, there's a line out the door to get in. And it was totally the opposite. It was, we want there to be tons of people in here. We want there to be, a lot of news and that sort of thing. That's totally what I'm trying to do with our library. So
Yeah,
definitely
that's and
one
that
of my
Mike,
goals.
I was just gonna thinking back in high school, the places you hang out when you had downtime, you walk the halls, you go to the gym, even right outside the doorway. Library wasn't even one of the choices, and now we just see with our students, they're in there a lot. They like being in there. So it's totally changed. And I got to give you credit in one sense. When I came on board at Carlson the fall of 03, God, it seems like so long, or doesn't seem that long ago. Fall of 03, you had the coffee thing going on there.
Yeah.
You did a news story on it.
This Channel 7, John Kleekamp. Where is he now? Yeah, we've always been trying, just to show you, like when I took it over, that door over by your room was always locked and like barricaded.
Yeah, right.
And when I took it over, I asked,
recently.
yeah, and I asked the person, I'm like, why is this door? Why don't we let people walk through?
Yeah.
Why don't you want foot traffic? And her line to me always was, well, there'll be a lot of book theft. And because at that point we had security on the one end, and it was just like one of those things, like anything, why are we doing it this way? Because it's always been this way. And then I realized one day, and I'm like, this is not. Why wouldn't I want people walking through here?
Right.
Anyway, even if if you lose the occasional book here or there, the book thief, I guess, would won that day. But yeah, so another goal, and again, this sort of ties in. This is always sort of my goal as both a teacher, but now especially as the union president. I want to be more visible and more accessible to all of our staff in our building. Like I said, you use me as a resource often. There's certain teachers that know what I can do and ask for it. I want to expand that beyond, but I also want to expand in this position of leadership I took district wide. And let people know, what we're here for. This is more union talk than librarian talk, but it sort of plays into the same role of, sure, we're here and what we offer, and and educate and let people know what we're here for, because I'm very grateful for it in our local that we have a high membership rate, and it's just something that's a goal of mine. I have a list of I'm an old pen and paper guy, and I have a list of goals of, both what I have for work, what I have for home, and what I have union wise. So that's definitely it, is just to be more visible and, and educate and let people know what's available, what's out there. So I am looking forward to this year. I think, you go back to, I think we can all agree that 2021, I don't think it was a very hard year. I mean, yeah, extremely difficult. And when they announced what the schedule was and they announced how we had to do things, it was not what we really signed up for, right? But we understood it was a pandemic.
Right.
And then last year we sort of tiptoed around. It still definitely wasn't like 2018-19. It was sort of like, okay, we started with masks. We were still the mask police for about 2/3 of the year, right? Well, a little over half of the year, maybe. And that was just a struggle, and trying to get, we went from being a little more loose in 2021 to like, okay, we even said this in staff meetings, how do we, exams are now back to 20%. It was just it was a transition year. It was really hard. I think for the first time coming into this 22-23 school year, it's almost like, okay, is this going to be like 18-19, right? Like, is this
back to normal, back to
the way it was pre-COVID? Yes, people are going to be sick and out, obviously, but I think that I can find, just for example, like student council, we're going back to having Downriver League meetings where we went and go and visit, 4 times a year. You host all these other kids from another school, and we're going back to the way it was, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the slate being sort of clean and going back to, at least to start. I mean, let's hope, right?
Right. Let's see. Yeah.
All right, overrated, underrated this week. I was somebody sent me on my Facebook Messenger. Peter King was at Latrobe for a Steelers training camp. So obviously training camp is up and running. And then as I was sitting here waiting for you to text to get us started, the first game is this Thursday, right? Raiders and Jacksonville from right down the road in Ohio for the Hall of Fame game, the very first NFL preseason game. So you decided we're doing overrated, underrated, the whole NFL, right? Like this is, now we did the Super Bowl before, so that's going to be off the table because we did overrated, underrated Super Bowl, which is its own entity. So overrated, underrated NFL. Some people are going to say there's nothing underrated about the NFL, I guess, and everything's overrated, but that's for you to comment, I guess. What is your overrated for the NFL?
So, and it kind of reminds me of that first game you're talking about. Um, okay, so the first game, everybody looks forward to it. You know, it's a first preseason game, everybody gets excited, and you really watch about one quarter, and then you're seeing a bunch of guys that most of which won't be on the team. So it's kind of some bad football, right? And so for overrated, I'm just going to say, you know, as much as the NFL is loved and it's watched, and you know, the NFL draft gets more ratings than the average, you know, championship level of most other major sports. There are some bad football games during the NFL season. Not even, you know, I mentioned preseason, but even during I come back to, maybe I'm jaded because we are inundated with the Lions around here. The Thanksgiving game between the Lions and the Bears was absolutely atrocious. It was unwatchable, even for a fan like myself who, you know, watches virtually every Lions game. So I am going to say that overrated aspect in NFL is there are, and not just with the Lions, there is some bad football games on a weekly basis in the NFL. And I think that's forgotten a lot of times as we look forward to the NFL season. And again, I'm fully admitting, full disclosure, jaded because of Lions. We probably look forward to, especially the last 5 or 6 years, we probably look forward to the football season more around here because of how bad the Tigers have been. So there's not a lot to look forward to during the summer because, you know, the Tigers trade deadlines today. That's what we're excited about with the Tigers, right?
Are they buying or selling?
Right. I'm just, for me, it's just the aspect of it. While the NFL itself is king, there are some bad NFL games. That's my overrated.
And listen, I can attest for that because I probably sat in one of the worst games of all last year in the regular season in person at Heinz Field, the famous tie between the Detroit Lions and Pittsburgh Steelers. It was the Lions starter. I want to say between two backup quarterbacks, but it wasn't. It was Goff was playing for the Lions, and then Rudolph was playing.
Goff was hurt.
Rudolph wasn't hurt, but he just looked like he was hurt, I guess. Raining, snow, just mistakes by both teams. And, you know, and when the schedule is released, you know, the networks always pick their top game. Obviously, ESPN, you know, the teams try to get the best games for like Monday Night Football. The opening game is obviously usually it's Rams and Bills, right? It's always the Super Bowl champion versus usually, and then they're going to go and look at that schedule and say, oh, they got the Bills on their schedule. The team that probably, all the Bengals fans are going to come down on me. Sorry, but the team that probably should have been in the Super Bowl playing the Rams, in my opinion, you know, so the Super Bowl everyone wanted to see, they're going to get to see now in week 1. But there's also plenty of other games that slide through. And, you know, it used to be always the joke, right? That the Thursday night game was always the worst of the worst. And every once in a while, one would slip in. But it's sort of like any other sort of random thing. You're going to have games that are supposed to be marquee games that turn out a good team lays an egg. You know, then you're going to have teams that are, you know, thought were going to be awful. They turn out to be good. It happens every year. But, you know, also there's certain teams that jump up and move down. But I agree, you know, and we're a victim of it here with the Lions on Thanksgiving. Let's be honest, with the Cowboys too. The Cowboys aren't usually, now it's the third game that's actually the true game that's the marquee game, because again, sorry, Cowboy fans, it's been since the mid 90s. You're not that good.
We also get a lot of Bears games here. They've been awful.
Well, we were just talking before we went on the air that the NFC North really isn't that good this year. So that's one thing that the Lions have going for them, is that they're not playing in like the AFC North, where 3 teams, you know, 2 teams were, you know, you got 2 teams that were like top teams, right? The Bengals and the Ravens. The Browns are trying to rebuild in a strange situation. And you got the Steelers that actually won I think they won the conference. They won the division last year, and then maybe not. No, they weren't home. So, but I mean, but they were all those teams. But I mean, like, people say, okay, well, if they're the worst team, and they might well be. That's a pretty tough division. So
right.
My overrated are preseason games in general, and this goes back to my years of being a season ticket holder with the Lions. And back in the day, I think now they have pricing that adjusts based upon the game, which is in a way is a good thing and is a bad. In all honesty, you're probably paying the same amount, but they like make the Thanksgiving game be a lot more and the preseason game. But it used to be like if there were 10 games, they were all $50 a game, including the 2 preseason games. And I remember going to the Silverdome for some of those games, and then even Ford Field. And you want to talk about the only thing worse than watching one on TV is having to go to one in person, where you paid money to watch it. You spend money to park or whatever, and it's just awful. Not in the coaches don't. My favorite thing about preseason games are these fans that call in and they're like angry. Like, remember, like, didn't like Dan Campbell or like people get crap about sometimes in a preseason game or like coaching decisions in a preseason game? Like,
Yeah,
it should not matter at all what a coach's decision in a preseason game is. They're just evaluating talent. I would go if I was across the 40-yard line, my own 40, I'd go for it every time. After I've seen the punter punt a couple times, like if I had a punting competition, maybe, but I just go for it. I mean, 4th and 10. What's the big? I don't care
Just
if I
have
lose.
some fun, yeah. Right.
Yeah, like let's see what our 4th down situation's like. We're going to be in a game where we're down by 7 with 2 minutes left or a minute 30, and we're going to have 4th and 10. Let's run it. But these guys, I don't know if it's because you can bet on who, and that's what I know. Who are these people betting on preseason?
We don't want to go that route, do we?
Yeah, but just totally overrated. They're not fun to go to. There's a reason why now mostly you get free tickets. I guess if it's a good situation if you don't have the finances to go to an NFL game and you can get free tickets from a car dealer or from whatever, that you still go down. You're still going to spend a ton of money, but don't go there thinking it's going to be this great thing. So overrated is definitely preseason. They are cut back to 3 now, right? In this new labor agreement, there's only 3. So that's definitely my overrated. Any preseason football game, I am not going to be watching Jaguars. Raiders on Thursday, and in all honesty, even as a Lions and Steelers fan, I'm not watching 1 minute of them in the preseason either. I'm not watching either team.
I agree.
Okay, what is your underrated?
I don't know if this is underrated or not. It was really hard because everything in the NFL is so hyped. But the way the NFL, so Sunday games, the NFL has taken over Sundays. You have your Monday Night Football, and then you have a Thursday night game. So the way the NFL has everything set up, it really gets you through the week. It's like, the week goes, it seems to go by faster because of the NFL. And the way my situation is set up, the Monday night game happens. Tuesday, you kind of analyze your fantasy football results if you're still into that. That's kind of, there's other things now that have replaced fantasy football to a lot of people. Wednesday, you start to go into like the lineups and all that stuff. And then Thursday, you have your game. And to me, once that Thursday game happens, Friday is the end of the work week. I just think the NFL does a very good job. And Mark Cuban actually challenged them on this when Thursday became a thing. And he said the NFL is going to oversaturate the market. And he was wrong. It has worked. Everything they do works. And so for me, the underrated part is how they get us through the week.
Yeah, people want to knock, people have tried to bury the NFL now for years, especially with recent political stances and halftime shows. And as much as they want to bury the NFL, it is king. People don't like Roger Goodell. There's some controversy going on right now with Deshaun Watson, and there's some, but I'm telling you right now, week 1, the TV ratings are going to be through the roof.
Right.
We joked around last week about All-Star. We've talked about All-Star games and how no one admits to watching the Pro Bowl. Somebody's watching it. Somebody's TVs are on because the numbers are there. And people say, "Oh, I'm not watching. I'm done with the NFL." Every stadium is full. Even bad team stadiums are full. It is what it is. It holds a place and people, these other leagues think they can try to challenge it. The only challenge they really have is college football, but most people watch both because college is smart. We're not playing on Sundays.
Right.
And their college is doing some different things. I think on Labor Day weekend, there's actually a game on Labor Day, like on the Monday,
but they never challenge.
Nope. And the NFL respects them too, because they don't start those Saturday games until college is totally done, that's another thing that the NFL does all of a sudden now you go those last couple games of the year, you get Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's absolutely crazy. So I totally agree. Anyone that says they're done or dead or they're going to protest them, I don't see it. I don't to the worst NFL city in the Jacksonville Jaguars still has people that are going crazy. Heck in this city, man, people live and die by the Lions, even though we've been nothing but heartbroken. So
our producer Wally was I called him this morning, a different issue about with Air France there, and he was at the Lions practice.
And that's a perfect segue because my underrated, unlike preseason games, I'm going to say that training camps or practices are underrated. And if I had a choice of what I wanted to bring my young kids to go watch, if you told me either you can go to a free preseason game or definitely not buy a ticket for a preseason game, or you can go to Allen Park and sit through a day of training camp and practice, I would definitely do the training camps. I can't speak for all cities. I'm going to speak for 2 cities. I haven't been to Latrobe, but the stories about the Steelers and still be on an old school college campus, like there's not many teams that do that anymore. Most of them built facilities like the Lions do, but the Steelers still go move into the dorms and do Latrobe. And that's where I was watching the Peter King video, and the street is lined up for miles. It's a great way. You actually interact with the players, right? Players will go and walk along and do signings. There's usually fun activities, like the NFL again has gotten very smart. We haven't, practice was always just practice. Well, wait a minute, why don't we open this up to the public? We will make it free, but we'll also have fan booths where we sell stuff, and you can buy season tickets if you're sick, all this stuff. And to me, it is an underrated, fun, easy day. It's for us downriver folks. It's right down the road in Allen Park. A few years ago when my kids were younger, I took my dad and the kids, and we watched, and you're watching a practice, but that's what you're really doing at a preseason game. But at this point, if you want, athletes would walk by, you could actually see them much closer than you
more
ever
accessible.
can.
Yeah, you're right.
So depending on your team, I don't know again, I can't speak for all 32 NFL teams. I don't know what their situation's like, but I am sure most owners got the memo, maybe not Dan Snyder in Washington, but most owners probably got the memo and said, hey, this is a great way. As a matter of fact, I did see a clip yesterday of Jerry Jones signing the back of a baby. First of all, I don't know who would want Jerry Jones's autograph.
Well,
but Cowboy fans are a different breed, but underrated. Definitely training camp. If that's something you can get to for our local listeners. I don't know how much is left. I know they do a free practice day too at Ford Field, but to me, you're still pretty far away. Like you're in the stadium. The one in Allen Park's actually better.
It's amazing. And like my first time, it was when Jim Schwartz was the coach. I'll always have a soft spot for him. He was so cool to the fans, and he ran out of time. He said, I'll come back here tomorrow at this time. If you guys can be here, I'll be here. It was awesome. I saw Calvin Johnson in person. Holy smokes, that guy he's amazing. He's like a fictional character.
Well, any of you see these guys, these linemen and stuff, you can see them. They're basically like from, if you're on your sidewalk, they're from you to the street. I mean, you can get that close. It's very fan friendly. And I think it's underrated. I think a lot of people think, I'll go to the games, and your best chance to get an autograph or get a picture or anything like that with these guys is definitely going to the training camp. So definitely an underrated aspect, a low cost aspect. So if you can get out there and check that out and see that. So what do you got for your hot mic for this week? Okay,
so every episode of this show, or almost every episode, I took a hiatus. It wasn't something I did the first couple, but I took a hiatus to be funny, to kind of take a shot at a couple of our listeners. I start with an old school rap lyric.
Yes. Okay? That it always stumps me.
It's always old school. And Mike, okay, so I really am a fan of old school rap for so many reasons, just the kind of the social conscience of Tupac, just listen to that, the lyrical brilliance of Biggie Smalls, the Eminem and the way he flows, and again, lyrical genius. All these rappers to me, just they represented something, and I was able to learn from them, and I love listening to lyrics and stuff like that. So if I could be a get off my lawn guy for just a minute, I was listening to a song recently with my daughter, and even rappers today, I'm not totally get off my lawn guy. There's like Kendrick Lamar, I always like listening to him in songs. But even he does this. The lyrics of they rhyme the word A. You hear it all the time in these songs. Post Malone does it. And I'm not even saying anything bad about him because there's some of the songs I like. Again, Kendrick Lamar, over and over again, all these new rappers. And to me, again, this is just me, and I sound like get off my lawn guy. This is the difference between old and new school rappers. To me, the guys from our day, just the lyrics were amazing to me. And when you rhyme A with A, or you finish a lyric with that, to me, I don't understand. And to this younger generation's credit, more and more, except unless you're Hottie, who always criticizes the old school, more and more there seems to be respect for the old school rappers. Again, I think for TikTok and stuff like that. But to me, that's what separates old and new school. I don't understand how A has become a thing in rap lyrics. And
so is this not particularly just a letter, but you think there's more time was put into it back in the day, and now in a rush to get stuff out, you sometimes think that they're just throwing stuff out there?
I don't know if it's a rush to get stuff out. I don't know if it's a like a younger cultural thing. I'm not sure why that has become a part of rap lyrics, but it has.
So the
You know,
crowd can yell along.
I guess I said it to my daughter. I don't know the song. I wish I would remember this. I said, let's see how many times he does this. And in a given song, and I don't remember who it was, 5 different times. And again, man, you turn on Jay-Z, you don't hear A. And I'm sure the Ren Dog will correct me on that. He probably has it. But man, I don't get it. So I'm get off my lawn guy for a moment. I'm sorry, but to me, man, and keep in mind the old school rappers drove our parents crazy. So
Yeah, it's always that way. So we'd love to hear from our resident music experts on there. My hot mic, I was thinking about this the other day because I was out running around as I normally do on days where we don't cook, grabbing dinner. And I guess my question, and I also recently on Prime Day, Amazon, and I'm a Prime person. Are you a Prime person?
I am not, but on my birthday I was, because it was the Prime Day.
Oh, well. So Amazon Prime, part of their Prime Day this year was if you wanted to, you could link your Prime account to a Grubhub account and you could get Grubhub Plus for a full calendar year.
Wow.
Which, by the way, so you know what, do you know what that means? Do you know what Grubhub Plus means? Basically, it waives all delivery charges.
That's what
yeah, it's like the premiere of Grubhub. So I did it just to do it. Now, I'd never used a dining app before. When we order stuff,
just go.
I get in my car and I go get it. Now, obviously, pizza is the one exception here or there. If I've had a few too many Pepsis and people want pizza, I call like the local pizza place and they deliver it, like they've been doing for years since we were kids.
Right.
Well, this past summer on a road trip, I got to a place and we got to our first stop and there's supposed to be this great pizzeria and it said delivery, carry out. I just drove 9 hours. I didn't want to drive anywhere. So I called the guy and I'm like, hey, I want to order pizza. Do you deliver? He's like, we don't deliver, but order through DoorDash. And that's how we handle deliveries. So I had a DoorDash app. I just never used it, ordered it, tipped the girl, got our pizza. It was delicious pizza. So then that was, earlier in July. And then once Prime Day hit, I added the Grubhub Pro as you would, but I've still never used it. Haven't used it. My question, so have you used any of these?
I do. I use DoorDash.
You do use DoorDash. Okay. How often would you say? Once a month? Once a week?
No, not once a week. Now you can DoorDash and also order your food without having them deliver. So in terms of delivery, it's probably about, on average, I'd say once a month.
Okay. I just have never used it. I wanted to just I did a Twitter poll like earlier in the summer when I wasn't even thinking about this, just to see because I wanted to see how many people use it. And I was actually thought because I thought so many younger people used it all the time, like as a, the numbers actually were more along with what we're saying, like rarely, if at all, where most of the numbers, of course, I don't know I didn't get to specifically see which Twitter follower said it, but it had a good response rate. I'm just curious to how many people use it as a, routine thing. Now, again, I get it. Nate was telling me about like a friend whose parents were going out of town, for a weekend, and they gave him a $200, or like $100 DoorDash card, for like the few days they're out of town, and it's perfect. Like you don't have to worry about the kid cooking.
They're fed.
Yeah. So I can see. I mean, and I know that there's people that do it all the time. Heck, I was in 7-Eleven, and someone was getting like Takis and 2 Slurpees. I mean, you can get like even like just on some snacks, So I was just curious. I tend to always go and drive. And that's like, I can hear my dad, because, there's the markup in the price anyway. Even if you have, you're still, sometimes the menu items are marked up in price. You don't know how long it's sitting there. Like for me, like Taco Bell, man, if you don't get that home right away, depending how long it's sitting, that's not a good meal. And that's sort of
get fries from somewhere. That's I agree.
I'm not. I know there's people like, oh, what about the people picking up? I'm not. That doesn't concern me. I mean, the people doing this aren't going through your food. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know, whatever. But I'm not gonna. The people making it could be going.
Yeah,
through,
right.
What do you? Whenever you're always taking a risk. Yes. I mean, when you go out to eat, the waitress could take a couple fries off your thing. And as a matter of fact, no, listen. The place we ate at in West Yellowstone, Elisa went to use the bathroom, and like the manager, like they put the stuff up on the hot thing. She's like, saw the guy like grab a couple fries.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. So just to show you, never know.
Was this like an Impractical Joker episode? Seeing your reactions, or
my wife wouldn't joke around about that. Like, I'm surprised she didn't have us up and leave. So I'm like, well, whatever. Guy's probably hungry. So I'm not going to name names because we don't want to get slandered. It's the same place I had no TVs on during the NBA draft. So, but I'm thinking, but as I sit here and think, as the school year is about to start, and as Chloe's moved away to school, okay, My wife works full time, four tens a week, doesn't get home till late on the day she goes downtown. Nate's going to be running cross country. I'm coaching cross country. I'm in union leadership, got to go to board meetings. I'm beginning to think now with this free subscription,
Yeah.
I honestly think it's going to be something that, no, will I be using it 4 days a week? No, but all of a sudden, if we get home from the day after a cross country meet, and after my wife worked downtown all day, and I worked all day, I'm probably not going to want to drive to Buffalo Wild Wings or even to McDonald's or Taco Bell, and I may just do it.
Right. I agree. It's so convenient. A couple pushes of the button and it's the end of it.
And I honestly thought about possibly doing it in the summer, but I just don't like the idea of being 1099. I don't want to live in this world where all of a sudden come March of the following year, I have a $4,000 tax bill and have to go back and take a bunch of empties or something. But I guess you adjust to that and set money aside or whatever. I don't know. We'd have to ask my wife the account on that. So, all right. So that's my hot mic. I guess just if you use it, which one's your preference? Which one's your favorite? If you knew that you had Grubhub Prime for a year free, I guess Grubhub Plus for a year, would you take advantage of that and use it? I guess that's why Amazon did. I think Amazon's buying them or something. Of course, and we talked about this before too. Pretty soon Amazon's going to own everything. So, what are you leaving with? What are you leaving us with this week? Do you have a pick for the Raiders Jaguars?
You know what?
You want to give to the gamblers
no
out there?
No. Actually, hold on a second. We missed the mic of the week, so I'll leave with
yeah! Holy cow! Who is your mic of the week?
In honor of the NFL starting, I'm sure I'm not going to share my fantasy story with you. I'm sure everybody's got a fantasy story. Nobody likes to hear other people's fantasy stories. Fantasy football, that is, by the way. Mike Evans, wide receiver of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fame. He is the mic of the week because it's in honor of the NFL starting. I had a hard time coming up with an NFL. I didn't want to use Michael Vick, legal troubles from the past, and
and Michael is a very common name. It's not. It used to be number one back in our day, and now it's got pushed behind like some trendy new names, like probably like I don't know. I don't want to name any names because then I'll offend somebody and they'll get mad. But you know what I mean. But for a long time, Michael seemed to never really appear that much in NFL players. I know as a Steeler fan, Mike Webster, Hall of Fame center, who tragically played for many years, and then his brain literally turned to mush. Like when they did studies on it, just sad thing. But yeah, Mike Evans, very good wide receiver.
Yeah. Still, I mean, late 20s now. It's at that time where he should be on the descent, but he's still playing well.
Yep, yeah, good. We always like to see those guys keep doing it well into their 30s, hopefully. So, so thank you. I'm sorry about that. I skipped over it. I was so excited to get into our goals. I'm so excited for the school year that I skipped over your mic of the week. So we got to, again, keep these all down so we get their pictures up. So what is that? Would you have anything else for us as we head out?
That's about it. I'm excited for the school years. I think we got all this stuff out. So yeah, I'm good.
What do you hope to anything big to accomplish in these last couple of weeks we have off? Did you do all your training, all your safe schools or whatever? Is that all done?
That was done. I would venture to guess I was the top 5 in terms of finishing that. I know
maybe the central office can do like a contest and they could reveal it.
And Top Hat was the first to claim it. Did Scope claim it after somebody else did? I know.
Man, I don't know. It'd be interesting too if they could release the data. Like you not only have to be the first one done, but they post your correct answer rate. Because remember, you can miss a few, right? Like I think you got to get like 80%, right? So like,
I missed one.
They should combine the two.
Listen,
maybe I'll bring that up.
And I'm still mad about it.
Maybe I'll bring that up in contract negotiations or something. We could have like a contest.
Amazon gift card to the winners. Yeah.
I don't. Like I said, these weeks are going to. Well, Monday is the first a week from. Well, this is airing on Friday, the 5th, but the 8th is the first day of fall sports.
Yeah.
So all of our athletes, hopefully, have your physicals by now. If you're listening to this early in the morning, go get your physical because you need it Monday at on the 8th for all levels.
You said next week, our first, our first. Our topic is 9th graders coming into the school.
Yeah, we're a little preview. There we go. Preview. There we go.
She's and she's going to be starting swim.
We're giving sneak peeks to episodes. We're branching out.
Oh man, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
No, that's fine. That
she just entered
possibly
eating ice cream.
Did she have her physical?
Yes.
Well, there you go. But with that also, we have games coming up. You're going to be my clock operator. The new scoreboard, we don't have to worry about. I don't think I have not seen it. And according to the board meetings I went to, COVID, with everything, there's backlogs of everything, and that includes the new super scoreboard. You're still on the old Daktronic Well, and as of right now, I don't know, I'll pop my head in when I go to practice on Monday. But this new monster we're coming in, we're going to really have to be trained. We got new lights and then a new scoreboard. So speaking of COVID shortages, Halloween candy. That was the latest one. Did you see that this week? Halloween candy. We still have a landline here. So
I didn't know you had a landline. That's crazy.
Yeah, look at that. It's 1988. So Hershey candy shortage coming up. So make sure you guys take care of that. My cross country team wants us to buy a ton of it now and then sell it as a fundraiser in like mid-October.
Gouging. Jeez. The fundraiser.
Don't tell Dana Nessel isn't our attorney general. So.
Right.
All right. Well, hey, have a good week. Again, for all of you with ninth graders, be sure to listen next week, the 12th, as we've been there plenty of years. Have your freshmen coming in. I have fresh off the heels of a ninth grader coming in. We'll give our advice to incoming ninth graders. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you.